On the night of September 7th, I was finding it hard to breathe and spent the night sleeping while standing up and leaning over the kitchen counter. I found it more and more difficult to breathe and asked my husband to take me to the emergency room. My son is a paramedic in our city, and I thought I had a blockage and didn't want to cause a medic unit to come to the house for something like that. As we went to the hospital, I became greatly distressed with my breathing and was gasping for air. I was very afraid. When we got to the hospital, I couldn't get out of the car and had run out of air in my lungs. The hospital staff ran to the car, put me in a wheelchair, and brought me straight into the emergency room. I couldn't catch my breath because I couldn't get air into my lungs. I started to panic. As I was on the gurney, about 6 or 7 nurses, doctors, and medical technicians were all around me. They started to undress me and attach IVs to my body, and I was gone. In less than a blink of an eye, I was in the emergency room. Then I found myself immediately in a room that was made of stone walls. The closest I can describe this is a great hall in a medieval castle. There was a long wooden table in the middle of the room. On the table were 3 white plates, one on either side of the table and one at the end of the table. The settings were completed by eating utensils and goblets. There was no food on the table. The table was lit with sconces burning from on the walls. I came face to face with our Lord, Jesus Christ, sitting at the head of the table and facing me. He didn't say a word. As I looked at him, I realized I could perfectly see every hair on his beard and head. He was wearing a plain white robe. He looked just like the picture my grandmother had hung in her home when I was growing up. Jesus had dark hair, a beard, and kind eyes. Once I realized I could see perfectly, I took a big breath and realized I could breathe wonderfully too. I felt no pain either. I looked over Jesus' left shoulder to a door. The door looked like a wooden swinging door at a restaurant. Coming through the door was my father, my sweet dad who had died many years before at the age of 57 from a massive heart attack in his sleep. He looked so amazing. He was beautiful, glowing, happy, and restored to good health. When my eyes locked onto his, I felt the most amazing feeling of love. I have never felt that kind of love on earth from anyone. I felt love wash over me and every single cell in my body all at once. The light had the most amazing, pure love with light and warmth to it. As he came through the door, I glimpsed a glowing, bright light behind the door. This was secondary to seeing my father. I was about to scream, "Dad," and run to embrace him. Jesus put his palm up to me and said kindly but very firmly, "Not now. Go back." Jesus never spoke with his mouth, but it was loud and clear in my head. I instantly went back to my body. I found myself about to be put into a CAT scan machine and completely unable to breathe. I was trying to pull at the tech who was holding my chest. He said, "Just 1 more minute, honey. We're almost done." Then I passed out. I have felt a strong connection to the other side since I had my NDE, and like I have 1 foot in heaven and 1 here on earth. I don't get rattled by much anymore, and I don't tolerate people that waste my time with foolishness. I don't know why I was sent back by Jesus. After my heart attack and for a few months after, I had very bad memory issues. I would go to start a sentence with someone and couldn't find the words to say. I was so upset by this and asked the cardiologist what was wrong. He said that I had lost oxygen and blood to my brain when I was unable to breathe. He said that's what caused the memory loss and I should start to regain my memory. It took about 3 months, but I finally got my memory back. That said, the only memory I retained crystal clear was my trip to see Jesus and my dad, and the man in the hospital room. I've wondered over the past few years why I didn't have a classic NDE with a tunnel, fields of flowers, and a bright light. After 4 years, I've come to realize that as someone of Italian descent, everything revolves around the table and food. We break bread, we talk, we laugh, and we cry around the table. As for Jesus putting his palm up to me, like giving me the hand, he knew that was something I'd understand. I had used the hand to let my kids know I'd had enough. As for telling me, "Not now, go back," he knew I'd argue to stay, especially when I saw my father. Jesus was firm enough in this that I didn't argue and went straight back to my body like a child.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to share your NDE story with us, please email us at realnear-death-experience-stories@gmail.com. Please subscribe. It helps us pay staff and people who send stories in. God bless.